Hello and welcome to Chapter 8 of Ymt218 Object-Oriented Programming. So we are discussing deeper view of strings. So this chapter is actually discussing or presenting more ideas or more understanding of strings. So let's go to the topics. We will be discussing basic string operations, string slicing, testing, searching, and manipulating strings. By the way, whatever we will discuss in this chapter is just the beginning of strings. Strings are extremely deep and extensive topic that needs actually more than one chapter, and we will see while solving some practical questions. But, however, what we will be doing at the moment is just giving the basic idea or the basic understanding or elaborating the concepts so that you can grow your knowledge about strings slowly, one by one. Well, so strings by themselves are a special type of sequences. We explained this before while explaining the lists and tuples. So they are a very special actually type of sequences, and they have very special characteristics with tuples and lists. That is why we can consider them somehow in between. It's one of the sequences that have similar operations and methods applied, like can be applied to lists or tuples, or sometimes cannot be applied to lists and tuples, but there are common things between those. Why? Now I'll explain why common. Simply because we have a list of characters. That means a sequence of characters in a string. And what does it mean? It means it's exactly some sort of sequence connected to one name. And that's why we deal with it as a sort of a sequence that we can apply similar operations to lists and tuples. Not everything for sure, but we will see. And these operations are extremely useful. One more thing, strings are actually widely available and applied in many disciplines. You may think about word processing. So we may have many different files of strings and text applications. So we need some special applications for strings in Python. All right. So imagine we have a string, and this string is a series of characters. Any character possible that we have in our language or the language that we are dealing with at the moment in programming. So how can we iterate over the string? We can use for loop, and this will allow us to iterate similar to the list. Before we took this one for loop, and then we present the name of the list, and we present the name of the list here, and we say, let's say X or I or whatever element or item in that list. Now, very similar, or it is actually the same, except for the name of the list, we will change it to the name of the string. So that is the idea. We can iterate over the string by just presenting the name of the string, and what will happen is we will take the characters one by one in the string. Instead of items of the list, we will just be getting or extracting the characters of the string. Okay, so this is one of the ways that we can extract or actually iterate over the string elements. One more thing, the string itself can be considered one special type of a list. What does it mean? It means that we have indexes for all characters available in the string, starting by 0. This is the first index, the first character in the string, ending by the length of the string minus 1. So the first index in any string is 0, is very similar to the first index of a list, and the last one is the length of string minus 1, or the size of the string minus 1. What applies to lists applies also to strings. So we can have the length function, which is len, L-E-N, that provides us the length of the string, and we will not make any index error or mistake. Why? Let's say you are trying to access or retrieve a certain index by the subscript notation. So this I is valid from 0 until length minus 1 or len string minus 1. If you try to access something beyond the length minus 1, then you will have an index error. So in that case, you will have an exception, and you need to provide some exception handler for such a case so that your program doesn't halt. Okay, look at the iteration type. This is just a simple example. When we iterate over a name which is a string, what happens? We take the first character in the first iteration. For example, here is J. The second iteration will take the next, the third iteration next, and next, and next. This is very similar to the list. So it takes the first item, first iteration, second item, second iteration, and so on until last iteration, last item. Here, first iteration takes the first character in the string, second iteration takes the second item in the string, and goes on until the last iteration takes the last item in the string or character in the string. So when we speak about items in a string, we speak about characters, not actually items of lists, because lists may have any type of data, including lists themselves. So we may have a list of lists, and we explain about this in two-dimensional lists. All right, look at these examples. Let's say we have a string called Python. Now this string could be a literal string. We just define it directly. It's not necessarily that this string is referenced by a name. It can be directly like this. So if we have a direct literal string available in this loop, we will just loop from the beginning of the string until the end, and we can display the elements. Now we specify the end of the display by just a space. That means we will display each and every character of the string, and then a small space, just one space between it and the next element, or in this case next character. So this is the way it will be displayed: the first character space, second character space, and so on. Think about another string. Now we may have another string like this, object-oriented programming. The string can take up to whatever number of characters. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have exactly a limit, but it depends on your application. So the application type determines the limit or the end of the string, how many characters available in the string. So now we can iterate using another way. How? We move from the beginning of the string, that means from index 0. Let's say we assign this index to a variable. Let's say we call it I, and we use the range function, and we limit our range to the length of the string minus 1. So when we use length, this length, len, will get us the length of the string. So the length of the string is the number of characters. However, we cannot loop until the last element, and you know the range function starts from 0 until the last element, or the element available here, minus 1 inclusively. So the element available here will not be included, and that's the size of the string. So the number of characters, you can count them, all of them, including the spaces, including this whatever minus or dash. Okay, so it will display what? The characters by index. So we are using index now. In fact, this course is not exactly a list. However, we can use the subscript notation here to get the indexes of the string. As I said, this is a special type of sequence, and this applies to it. So we can retrieve these indexes of the string using this subscript notation. This is possible. So in this case, I put no space. It will just display it the way it is, and that's how it will be displayed. You can put a space, it will give one space between, or you can leave it default. It will display on separate lines. So each character will be on one line and will jump to a new line. It depends on your application, how you're going to display it, and we will take some longer practical examples in next sessions. All right, this is what I was explaining about the indexes. I explained about them. We start from 0, we end by length minus 1. and pay attention that you shouldn't exceed the last index. If you do so, you will get an exception raised, and that's a problem index error. I explain about it. So you may use try and except. You may create an exceptional handler so that it helps you to catch index error if there is any. And usually, as a professional programmer, you should use extensively. You should use actually exceptional handling methods so that you make sure your program doesn't halt for any reason. We will see from now on. I'll try my best to include in any program some exception handling method or processing, or actually an exceptional handler or multiple exceptional handlers, so that we do not get any halt while running our program. Okay, I explained also about the length of string. The way we provide len string is just literally like this way. The function len, the length, and then inside these parentheses, the name of the string that we are willing to get its length. All right, let's not give more time here. One more application that's widely used. Let's say I'm interested in concatenating or connecting or getting two strings to be connected together. So this is what we refer to by concatenation in technical term. As a technical term, it's just like appending strings to one another. So we can use the plus operator, the addition operator. In this case, will not be exactly addition. We are not adding, because this is not a mathematical process. We are concatenating here, or appending one string to another. We can also use the augmented if we are adding, or actually not adding. Again, I mistakenly said it. If we are appending a string to another string. So we have the first string to be displayed first, or to be assigned first, then the next one. So we will have a concatenation process. We may use this augmented procedure of concatenation, or we may have just this concatenation procedure by just plus sign. Now the thing that I have to explain is strings by themselves are immutable. We cannot change them. What does it mean? Let's say I have the string now, roses are red. Once it is assigned to a variable, you cannot change it. You can't change this. It's already initialized or assigned, and you cannot change. If you try to change, if you try to access any of these elements and change them, you will get a value error, I guess, value type error, I think. Yeah, or no, type error. Type error you will get, because the operation itself will not be allowed. And in that case, because these strings are not mutable, we cannot change their values, what we can do is we can assign them by certain modification way, or after we modify them to a new variable, so that we will just reference a new string, totally new string. So initially, if you create a string, you cannot change it. You can modify it and assign it to another variable. That's possible. So I hope this point is clear. Once a string is assigned, you cannot change it under the same name. You can create a new string using this one, modify it by a certain way, and then assign it to a new. So that means we take a copy and modify that copy and assign it to a new variable name. That's possible. So if we are concatenating strings, that means we are creating a new string. We can assign it to a new variable, and that's possible like this. Look at this. Earlier we used this object-oriented programming. Let's say we have another string 1, but Python, and string 2 programming. So let's say we create string 3, and it's just the addition of these two, or actually the appending of string 1 and string 2. So we append string 2 to string 1. So string 1, whatever available here, will be the first, will be listed first. So it will be the beginning of the string created here. Then next to it, this one will be attached or appended. So that's why I kept some space here. Otherwise, it will be directly connected with no space. So you need to pay attention to this concatenation process, where you leave the space if it is necessary or needed. Okay. So as I said, we are creating a new string by concatenating or appending these strings. So that's why we assign it to a new string. Okay. I mentioned about the immutability of strings. We cannot change their values. We cannot access to certain index and change it. That's not possible. Let's say string 1. Let's say I say string 1. Index maybe 0. I change p, capital P to lowercase p or small p. It will not be accepted. It will give you an exceptional, or it will raise an exception. In that case, you will have a problem and your program will halt. You can take a copy like this, for example. Yeah, type error, I mentioned about it earlier, because this type doesn't accept, actually, the object of string doesn't support the change or the amendment of a ready or a created string or an assigned string. So that's why we cannot change the characters of a string after assigning it. We can take a copy from that string, modify that copy. That's possible. Okay. Look at this. For example, for some reason, I do this. I have a name which is referencing a string, and then let's say I concatenate this name with another string. What happens? So what will happen is like this. The initial reference will be totally cancelled. That means it will not be deleted, but we will be referencing a new string. We are not changing the initial one. It will not change. What we are doing is this variable name, we take it and we assign a new string with it. We are not changing the first one. You cannot. That's not possible. Only the referencing matter. So the initial string will not be referenced. Will not be referenced, and it will not have a reference, and ultimately it will be collected by the garbage collector from the program. It will be just removed as a string with no reference after some time. Maybe we'll explain about this garbage collection later on in advanced topics, not now. But our variable name will reference a new string, and this one will never change. We cannot change it. We cannot amend it after it is being assigned here. Okay. Slicing, very similar to the lists and tuples. We can apply, actually specifically lists, we can apply slicing, or actually taking certain span or certain slice from the string, very similar to the lists. So we define the start and the end, and we will go from start until the end -1 inclusively, and will not be included. So you determine how many characters you would like to display or get or return as a copy. You can assign it also to another string. This is possible. So you may go from 0, the beginning, or you may not specify 0. That means it will be by default the beginning 0, and you can specify the end. It depends on your application. So what kind of slicing you are applying, or what kind of outcome you are looking for. You can use the length as the end. You can leave this one, drop it out, and it will be from the beginning until the end, or from start until the end, the last element of the string. It depends. Very similar to what we explained about lists in the previous chapter. Okay, look at this. For example, we have the name of the university. I wrote it in English character, so we will just write it this way, Frat University. So in this case, we can slice from the beginning. Why? Because we didn't specify any start. That means by default it will take start from the start. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We said the last or the end -1. So we are taking 0. The first index is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be our output. This is the slice that we are getting, or the span we are displaying for out. Okay. You can try to display another one. Let's say we take another different slice from 2 to 5. So we already know 5, that until here inclusively, okay, until t. So from 2, so 0, 1, 2, so it will be rat. Okay, this is just like a display of some procedure slice. Maybe you can take from the end also, is possible. When you take such a thing, we'll take from 6 until the end. Maybe you can specify some negative value here. It will start from the end and it will go backward. That means, let's say you put let's say -5. It will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will be displayed. It depends on your application, and it will count 1, 2, 3. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So let's say. So in that case, it will display to you RCT. If you place here -5, for example. So you will reference the slice from backward, exactly similar to the list. Okay. Testing, searching, and manipulating strings. We can manipulate strings by using different methods. We can also search within strings, either search for a character or a string within a string. We can do these too. For searching a string within a string, we can use in operator. It's very similar to item in list. So if it is available in the list, the method will return, or the outcome will be true. Otherwise it would be false. So now if we are looking for string 1 in string 2, the outcome will be either true or false. It's Boolean, depending on whether string 1 is available in string 2 or not. If it is, it will return true to you, and this is extremely useful while searching for a substring within a longer string. Okay. We can use not in, similar to the application of lists. If string 1 is not in string 2, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So it depends on your application, whether you are looking for the lack of existence of a string within another string, or you are looking for the existence of a string within another string. Okay. Also, we may think about so many methods. We cannot cover all of them here. We will just cover the most applicable ones, or the most frequently used ones. We can use string name.method name and then providing an argument. So method here will change based on the method type, or the method name actually, what we are going to do. We have different types of methods. Now let's just go directly to them and explain about them, what kind of these methods that we have, and the type of applications that they are used for. Is alphanumerical. What does it mean? So if we have a string dot is alphanumerical, will return true if the string provided here, the string that we have here is, because string name dot the method name, like this, string name dot method name. So if we use, let's say, str1 dot is alphanumerical, it will return to us true if the string is composed of either alphabet, okay, so alphabetic letters A to Z, capital or small, lowercase or uppercase, and digits from 0 to 9. So any combination of those will return to you true. Otherwise it will return to you false. If there is any special character, or whatever, null or space, or no, null is okay, space or whatever included in the string, it will return to you false. Maybe if you use a special character as dollar, or a percentage sign, or ampersand, or any, it will return to you false. Let's say is alpha. That means we are looking for alphabet only from A to Z, lowercase or uppercase. It will return true, otherwise it will return false, whatever the character available in the string. So it may be any character. Let's say as dollar, that case we don't have only alpha, we have special characters, so it will not be alphabetic letters. So we are just looking for alphabetic letters. If alphabetic letters, it will return true. Okay. Is digit, so from 0 to 9. If it is from 0 to 9, whatever the number of digits, it doesn't matter, but it should be just digits. So is digit will return to you true if the string is composed of pure digits, no decimal points. We cannot have mantissa, because decimal point here will be a special character. It's just a period, dot. It will not be accepted as a digit. Is lower, it will check if your string is lowercase, and we consider alphabetic letters. Okay, so we speak about alphabetic letters. Is space, so it returns true if the whole string is just is composed of white spaces. White space is not only just the tab, no, it's composed of \n, jump to a new line, or also the \t, the tab. So we can have the space, just space, or the tab \t, 5 spaces, or whatever is considered in your system, \n, the jump to a new line. All these are spaces. Okay. is upper is very similar to lower, but it works the opposite way. If the string composed of alphabetic letters is composed of uppercase letters, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Now you may ask me, how about if it is mixed type? Well, mixed type you can use alphanumerical, that's possible. If it is mixed other than numbers and alphabetic letters, then you cannot apply to it exactly those. Is the uppercase and lowercase, or is digit or alphabet? No, they are not applicable. You can have other methods to apply for it. Maybe you can separate this method, this string later on, and check maybe alphabets if you can separate the part of the alphabetic letters and the part of numbers. Maybe you can separate them. We will see. We may have a lot of applications that require actually separating the digits from the alphabetic letters. Okay. We explain about those. Now, sometimes we need to change a string. We said it's immutable. How can we change it? Well, how about we take the string itself, we create the customized copy of it the way we like, then after that we assign it to a new string. That's the way we can actually create the modification or the copy, the customized copy, the way we like. That's possible. So we cannot change the essence of our own assigned or declared string. However, we can take a copy and customize that copy and assign it to a new string. This is possible. How about if we, I gave this question before, if you remember, as in practical, we were running like a menu-driven program where we were inspecting if the user was entering Y or not, or any other, letter or whatever. Is it Y? It was 3, I think, yeah. Well, if Y, yeah, I think we used once Y letter. We said like maybe the user will press Y lowercase or enter Y lowercase or uppercase. We are not quite sure. So we included both of them, the uppercase and the lowercase of Y, and we compared. Now, in this case, you don't have to. You can receive the letter from the user, or maybe yes. Would you like to continue? Yes or no? So we are not quite sure if the user will enter yes, capital or small or uppercase or lowercase letters. So what we are going to do is we take that yes or no. It depends on your application. Let's say yes. Would you like to continue? Yes for yes. So you type yes. And in this case, you can take that yes from the user and convert it to either lowercase or uppercase. So you will guarantee that this will match with the lowercase or uppercase in your application. What does it mean? It means you are not sure whether the user entered yes uppercase or maybe just Y uppercase, okay? And the rest is lowercase, the E and S. Then you convert all of it to lowercase and you compare to yes in lowercase. Or you convert all of it to uppercase and then you compare yes to an uppercase version, and that's possible. We cannot convert the string itself, we convert a copy and we assign it to a new reference variable, okay? So lower will return a copy. Remember, a copy. It doesn't change the string, it just returns a copy. So we'll return a copy of the string in lowercase. If it has characters, well, other characters or numbers, these will not be changed. There is no lowercase for special characters. There is no lowercase for numbers, so they will not be changed. If it is lowercase already, it will not change. We explained about the R strip, do you remember? We were stripping the rear or the right side space or white space or \n or jump to a new line. This actually helps you stripping all the white spaces, not just \n, because we were using it in files, and in files we were using frequently \n. We have applications in files with \t, but this was the most common one we were applying in our programs. So for this case, we were using the R strip to get this one stripped from the string because we are speaking about the right side of the rear \n. Now we may have the leading strip or the left side strip. That means we strip the string or the white space from the left side of the string or the beginning of the string, leading part of the string. We may have a white space before the string, similar to the white space after the string. So you can strip the leading white space if it is \n or just normal space or number of spaces, not just one. Maybe I press space multiple times, it will be just stripped from the string. Or \t, it's possible. All types of white spaces, okay? Leading strip. Now maybe leading strip of a character, not just the white spaces. We specify the character that we would like to remove from the beginning of the string or from leading before the string. Imagine I have a string, its beginning is assigned by asterisk. I want to strip this asterisk. I provide here in single quotes or double quotes asterisk, and we'll just strip that asterisk from the beginning of the string. We have a lot of applications similar to this, especially when we deal with some special type of strings, like with you can say a mark for a start. So the beginning of the string is marked by a certain character. There are applications for that. We will see. We will have some tutorial about it. We also can apply the rear strip or the back right side strip for a character, not necessarily white space like this. This is for white space because it's by default. You don't have to provide \n or \t or whatever. It will clear or strip all the white spaces from the rear or from the right side of the string. This one you have to provide a character. Maybe you can provide whatever the character that you are interested in stripping at the end of the string. This is possible. Strip by itself as a default, it actually strips the string from the rear, from the leading, and from the rear or from left side and right side white spaces. So if you want to get rid of the white space before the string and the white space after the string, the leading and the trailing white spaces, you can use strip or strip directly. If you specify a character for strip, it will just strip that character from the beginning and the end of the string or leading and trailing of the string. You can use also upper to convert or to create a copy of the string where the string itself is converted or changed to uppercase. And as I said, if it is already uppercase, it will not change. For I said about the lowercase. If it is if the string that we are trying to convert to uppercase or a copy of it to uppercase, if it is already in uppercase, then nothing will happen. You will just have a copy of it in uppercase. If it has digits or special characters, these will not be changed. Okay. Suppose that I'm looking for subsearch or searching of whether the string is starting by a substring or ending by a substring. For example, let's say you are running a search and trying to see last name of someone. Possible. So if you consider the name, full name as a string, you can run the search by surname or maybe first name. Okay. So first name you can use starts with and provide the first name or a substring that you are looking for, and will return true if it is available. It will return false if it is not. And you can use also for ends with. This is like regional search. We will check whether this string ends by substring. It's not necessarily that we include white space. It's not necessarily that. Maybe it's connected, all the string is connected, but we are looking for just a regional search from the beginning or the end of the string. And here I have to say this. The sub-search here in this case, or the type of search, regional search here, is a case sensitive. So if lowercase and uppercase, you are looking for a string, you have to match it in uppercase or lowercase. If you say I'm not quite sure which what kind of string I have, if it is lowercase or uppercase, then you convert it. So if you want to look for a string or a substring within a string, if my string is starting by this substring or not, and you are disregarding the case, that means it's not case-sensitive search, then what you are going to do is you take the whole string and convert it to lowercase and search with the beginning or the end in lowercase. Or take your string and convert it, or take a copy of it actually, convert that copy to uppercase and make your search in uppercase, and that's possible. We can also use find to search whether the substring is available in the string or not. If it is available, it will return to us the index where it is available, where the lowest index. What does it mean? Now I may search for a string within a string. Let me just go to this example here quickly. Okay, for at university, let's say if I'm looking for university here, I find, so I provide string name dot find, and I provide here inside university. So for this university, it will count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the starting index where we find the first university or the first string appearance will return to us. So it will return 6 to us. There may be others. So in that case, you have to modify your search and create your continuous search over all the string, and we will see it practically in tutorial later on, how we can search the whole string for one name or for one, for one substring, not necessarily a name, I mean, for one substring, okay? All right, so we can use find to search for us whether the string is available or not, and to return to us the index of the first appearance. If it is not available, now you may tell, or you may ask, or may come to your mind that how about if it doesn't have that substring in the string? So in that case, it will return to you -1, and we know that -1 is not a possible index in lists and also in strings, because we start from 0 and we go to the end. That means length -1. Imagine that I have a string and I am interested in replacing some of its substrings by new substrings. You will say again, but you said that strings are immutable. We are taking a copy. So here what happens, we are not changing the string itself, we are creating a copy, customized copy, and returning it to a new reference. If you return it to the same reference, that means you are disregarding the initial string. That means you are creating a new string, referencing it by that variable, and ignoring the initial string. So what happens? String name dot replace, and you provide a string with substring. For example, if you are trying to code something, if you are looking for a name, certain name, and you want to replace it by, let's say, a code, maybe hash code, you want to remove someone's name from a document or from a string, because you can copy all a file, as we explained before, the contents of all a file, you can just place it in a string or actually in a list. It's possible. And in that case, let's say I want to hide the name of someone for maybe privacy. I can replace that name by maybe hash code or maybe asterisk. That's possible. So in that case, we can use substring with a new string. So substring, let's say name, for example, person name. The new string that I would like to have it, maybe hash codes, 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, some hash codes, okay, or some asterisks. All right. So this is what we explain about these methods. Are they all the methods that we have possible with strings? No, there are so many others. There are so many. As I said, we cannot cover all of them, but in practical, if I see the application requires new strings other than those, I'll just explain them while we are taking the tutorial. Okay. A repetition operator. This is extremely versatile and useful operator that we use it also in lists. You are familiar with it. If you use this asterisk as a repetition operator and provide here to the right side of a string an integer number, your string will be repeated n times. It's very similar to the list that we explained about before. You provide the string that you are interested in repeating and the number of times to be repeated, and you provide an asterisk in between, and that will allow you to get a number of copies based on the number of integers or the amount, the the integer number that you are providing here. Have a look at this. Well, we are frequently coming across this hashtag stay home or stay at home. Both of them are available actually. So if, let's say, we have a string, its content is the hash code or the hashtag stay home. Let's say if we multiply it, this is not multiplication, I'm just saying it, multiply it. This is repetition. So if we repeat it 3 times, look what happens. It will just display this 3 times. We may put space in between, that's possible, but just keep it. It will repeat 3 times. It depends on the number that you provide here. You can just provide integer, not any other type. You cannot provide here 3.5, that's not possible. It should be an integer number, integer type, and that will allow you to repeat the string number of times based on your own application. Okay, we have the last part, splitting strings. This is extremely useful, and we have so many applications related to it. Imagine we have so many applications with lists, and lists are extremely flexible. So let's say I want to convert the contents of my string, because a string could be a whole file. Okay, it could be 1,000 words or 1,000,000 words, it doesn't matter. You want to convert it to a list where you can manipulate the content of the list the way you like, or you have some applications with lists more than strings. You can use the method split. So string name.split will help you, or will allow you to get a list with all the words in the string. The items of the list are the words of the string, and the delimiter, or what determines what kind of letters or what kind of items we have, is the white space. So they are separated by space in this case. So what will happen? This split will return to me a list, and the content of the list is actually, or the contents of the whole list represent the words of the string, and the how to say is the space in between is like they are separated by spaces. So it will split them based on spacing. So look here, I have a space, I included a space. If there is no space here, it will be just one element. So what happens? We will look for this white space, and once we use, let's say, hashtag here, dot split, because hashtag is just a string, so we'll split the hashtag, because its content is stay home space 5 times. It will split it to 5 elements of a list. So it will convert this one. Hashtag 1 is a list, it's not a string, and its contents will be these words of the string, and the elements will be marked by the space after each word. So let's say programming in Python. So programming space in space Python. So if I say list1 equals, let's say name.split, name is the content of programming space in space Python. It will return to me 3 elements: programming, second element in, the third element is Python. And this is the way we can create a string of the contents of a list, of a string, and we can manipulate this list the way we like, because you know lists are immutable. We cannot change this one. This is a string, we cannot change it, we can replace it. What does it mean? I cannot change this stay home, but I can't replace all of it. I cannot change stay home because this is immutable, but I can change all of it and replace it, put another string or another element that of my interest actually. Okay, this is the end of this chapter. Today we discussed strings as special type of sequences. We discussed the iterating over strings, or the iterative ways over strings. We discussed the repetition and concatenation of a string. We discussed also how strings are immutable and how we can create some copies of them based on our own customization or our own application. We learned also about slicing the strings. We learned about regional search of strings. We spoke about some methods, not all. We can never cover all of them. There are so many methods attached to strings. Also, we learned about splitting the string and converting its contents based on white space to a list. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. I will create a tutorial related to this, or actually based on the contents of this chapter, very soon. Until then, have a good time. Goodbye.